Week 12 wraps up from beautiful British Columbia, and the Lions bringing back the annual Watermelon Smash as they welcome the Roughriders to town. Saskatchewan coming off a disappointing performance against the Tiger Cats. Well, don't look now. The BC Lions are rolling, winning 3 straight games. It is Sunday Night Football on TSN. Well, Nathan Rourke looking to help the Lions defense keep rolling here. His team hopefully getting to 500 for the very first time this season, so thinks the fans. But on the flip side, Trevor Harris has thrown for 300-plus yards in 5 of 9 starts so far this season, but coming off a performance where he threw 2 INTs and only recording 207 passing yards. But maybe this will help. Look who is back finally. Sam Emilus hasn't played since week number 8, but he returns tonight. And by the way, in that week 2 game where these two teams played the first time, he was fantastic. He had 91 receiving yards and also those 3 TDs. So you got to see that as a boost if you're a Rider fan tonight. Back alongside Enoch Mwamba, Davis Sanchez, Paul Lapolice as we wrap up week number 12. We just saw him, Sam Emilus, and overall, how much of a boost does that give the team tonight?
It's a huge boost. I mean, he's one of the main receivers for this team. They got three-headed monster, and 2 of them aren't playing. But for Sam Ellis to come back, Trevor Harris loves this. He's extremely dynamic, and he can basically take the top of any defense. And this is the guy that they're going to be featuring tonight. The other guys that I love that stepped up as well, Busby stepped up, Jete stepped up. Now the main guy's back. It's going to be a good one.
How rare is it that a wide receiver is your physical presence on your team? You ask the guys there, they'll tell you. Sam Emilus is their physical presence. He's that guy out there. So, yeah, huge for him to be back. And also, I think for Trevor, that's his security blanket over the middle of the field. So huge to get Big Sam back. They did feel like they got out physical last week, the Riders.
Yeah, and I think what you hit the nail on the head, Davis. His ability to block. He does the dirty work on the inside. As one of the best receivers in the league, but he's also a physical receiver. I remember talking to him early in the year, and he would always just talk about a complete receiver is a guy who blocks. Yeah. He loves it. He enjoys it. And they're going to need a little bit. This BC Lions defense first in the CFL against the run, so hopefully. Did I block back in the day? I had to. I wasn't that fast, so I had to do something.
You were blocking that.
Come on.
You were not blocking anybody.
Don't mind the people
My
at home.
178 pounds is pretty strong,
you can't find proof online, doesn't mean you just make up stuff, Coach.
Let's go. Put the film out. Do we have a VHS?
All right,
is there a VCR
ready to go here. Just like Glenn Suter's son, Jared, who is putting on a pre-game show, just rocking that electric guitar.
Love it.
Kickoff with his dad is coming up next. Jared? Nancy Burton of Calgary, this is your chance to win big. Thanks to Save On Foods' $1 million touchdown to win. If the kickoff is returned for a touchdown, you could win groceries for a year. If 2 kickoffs are returned for touchdowns, you could win $1 million. Good luck, Nancy. Let's get you to BC. It's Rod Smith and Jared's dad.
Jared's proud dad, Kate Burness. Thank you for that. Welcome to BC Place. Intriguing showdown in the West. The Riders and the Lions, part 2 this season. Part 1 suits back in June. It was like the West Final last year when Saskatchewan, down late, came back and won it in the final minute. And Sam Emilus had 3 touchdowns in that game, including the winner with 44 seconds to go. Big addition back into the Rider offense today.
Absolutely. Something that Trevor Harris really needed to get back in the lineup was a big play receiver that can get down the field. He had 3 touchdowns in that game in week 2 between these two teams. Sam Emilus, after missing 3 games, back in the lineup for Saskatchewan. One of the guys that maybe matched up with him throughout this game is halfback TJ Lee, who said of his 30 career interceptions, last week was the biggest when he sealed the deal against Calgary.
Buck Pierce's Lions steadily improving. They started 1-5, but they have won 3 straight. and climbing back into the conversation. And this is a trip home again for the pride of Port Moody, BC, about 30 minutes away. Corey Mace, third year as head coach of the Roughriders. First CFL game he ever went to, by the way, as a kid, was here at BC Place to watch the Lions take on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. There is Stanley Berryhill, his second game back with Jermaine Jackson, because they will receive first. The Riders won the toss, but they deferred. So Alex Hale, what a good day. Under some pressure lately, went 4 for 4 in field goals in Hamilton last week in a loss. Is here to kick it off now from the Saskatchewan 30. Final game, week 12. And a rematch between the Riders and Lions underway here at BC Place to Stanley Berryhill across the 20, the 25. He spins, he keeps going, and he manages to work it up close to the 35 to make way for Nathan Rourke, leading the Lions back to victory last week in Calgary.
Yeah, last week, another 300-yard passing game against the Calgary Stampeders. 2 touchdowns in that one, and threw for over 300 in the loss in week 2 against Saskatchewan. Big numbers from both these teams offensively on the board in that one possession game that went right down to the wire.
Back in week 2, Rourke went 24 of 37, threw for 330. But as said, they had gone ahead late, but back came the Riders to break the Lionhearts again. Fresh game from their 34. First play, little fake, dumping it off to James Butler. And after the catch, he works it up to about the 44 and close to a Lions first down.
James Butler out there right now, but with this offensive line and Michael Couture up front, talk to him about who is the toughest linebacker he faces in the CFL, and he immediately said Jameer Thurman. So we'll watch that matchup, and we're going to see a bunch of Xander Horvath. That's one thing that the Riders defense has not had to handle this year. In that week 2 game, Horvath didn't get a lot of touches. It was all James Butler.
Intriguing 1-2 punch, though, on the ground with a short passing game when you got Butler and Horvath. And the fake to him on the first down play. It's caught another first down inside the Riders zone, inside their 45, down to the 41. Jermaine Jackson and a 24-yard pickup.
Jermaine Jackson coming in that waggle, going towards the line of scrimmage. He's going to be right down the rail here, and you see how Nathan Rourke tries to throw it to his back shoulder, make sure he can't get Jackson Ford involved in that.
So a couple of plays, a couple of first downs for BC, and an empty backfield right now for Nathan Rourke. Down to the Rider 41. And shovel pass inside. Keon Hatcher, who had a big day in Calgary, couple of touchdown catches last week at McMahon, has that and thinks he could have had more. Second down ahead.
This is the third start for Derek Roberson on that defensive line for Saskatchewan. Had a sack in his very first game against Edmonton and is quietly becoming dominant. I want to watch him tonight. He's returning to BC Place. They've already played against his old team, the Lions, in that week 2 game, but Josh Wood's back in BC Place. And here's a matchup to watch tonight. Wide field, Nelson Lacombo playing on that wide field corner against Javon Catoy, usually where he lines up.
Hatcher got 5, second and 5. Saskatchewan 36, Rourke throwing and no, jumping in front. Making a play there is Woods, the ex-Lion. And you know, as you talked about, how much this game, especially the return to BC Place, means to him.
Yeah, he started all 9 games, 100% healthy again, and back in his old stomping grounds, and almost just didn't believe that Nathan Rourke was going to throw it there.
So they get close enough to try a field goal here for Sean White, but the 43.5 to be put down by Carl Meyer on the snap from Cam Foran, and Sean White is money. Bumps that one through, and very quickly the Lions get on the board on their opening possession. So over to you, Trevor Harris now. 11th all time in the Canadian Football League in passing yardage history. Saskatchewan football looking to get back in the win column here at BC Place in Vancouver. Out of the gate, week 2, their opener against BC, and he had a brilliant performance.
Yeah, really did. 400 yards passing. It was the 12th time in his career he's thrown for 400. Emelis with the 3 touchdowns. We talked about that. But Keyshawn Johnson and Schaefer Baker for 100 yards in that game. Big numbers that went down to one possession.
big numbers, and they've been missing 2 of the 3. Kean Schaefer-Baker as well, and Keyshawn Johnson holding down the fort, but glad to have Sam Emilus back. The Riders are running it here. Paulie Conley back in the lineup. He missed last week with a hamstring injury, but back there and nothing doing.
Third start up front for the offensive line for Eric Anderson, but the guy he replaced, Zach Fry, is back on the roster, so we may see him as a tight end. You take a look at Emilus back in the lineup, his 3 touchdowns against the Lions, and he's that deep threat, smooth route runner that can get on top of coverage in a hurry.
And there is Sam Emilus, having a great year before he got injured in Edmonton and had to miss the last 3 starts. Second down and 10 over the middle. It's caught. It's Keyshawn Johnson. Mentioning how he did hold down the fort among the big name receivers on that Rider receiving corps, and a 24-yard gain there.
Yeah, 9 catches, 131 yards against the Lions secondary. Basically intact. The same secondary that played against BC back in that Week 2 game. So know each other well, him and Emilus, both big games.
Johnson coming in with 765 yards receiving and 6 touchdowns, leading the way on the Riders. 4 for 51 last week in their loss in Hamilton after a big game to help the Riders beat the Ottawa Red Blacks 2 weeks ago. So 1st and 10 at the BC 46. The snap is bobbled, and then Conley couldn't find the handle after Harris had handed it off. So they're good to pick up a couple of yards on that play and hang on to the football.
Well, I'd love to highlight a different defensive lineman for the BC Lions, but Matthew Betts won't allow it. He just keeps registering sacks and has been on a roll of late. He is tied for the league lead with 7 on the season so far. Deontay Williams leads the team in defensive plays. A little lighter in the pocket. More on that as the game goes on. And I mentioned TJ Lee against Calgary. His first interception this year, but 30th of his career.
2-yard pickup by Conley. 2nd and 8. Harris to throw to the left. Open receiver caught Dell Duncan Busby. And has enough space there to make sure he keeps his feet in bounds. And a first down Saskatchewan.
Yeah, you know, when you're playing against Trevor Harris and he's seen all the looks, all the coverages, all the concepts that he has at his disposal, it's almost like you get forced to lock up in man-to-man.
Down to the 30, Conley again. Good hole, good running. Paulie Conley, who gets a burst right up the middle and picks up another first down for the Riders.
The Riders really don't have a fullback on the roster in their roster construction for this particular game, but they do have 2 extra offensive linemen, so they can play big team with those guys, and Tommy Stevens could be that guy.
Here's Conley again on the toss left. Conley, who's been filling in for the injured A.J. Ouellette, and he himself couldn't play last week as mentioned, but picks up more yardage to get it down to the 15, and a second down coming up. Good drive going here by Harris and the Riders.
Yeah, going right after a strength of the BC defense. You know, Mark Mueller right now is saying, hey, you're the #1 defense against the run in the league. Let's see. Let's see if you are.
3-yard gain, 2nd and 7, down to the 16 BC. Approaching the halfway mark of this first quarter with the Lions up by 3. But here come the Riders. Harris looks into the end zone. No. Intended there for Keyshawn Johnson. Ronald Kent Jr. right with him, right inside the goal line, but it falls incomplete, and the field goal unit will come on for the Riders.
Little speed cut here to just get as quickly as he can outside leverage on Kent. But in pretty good position, and times up his dive for that football just to distract Keyshawn from bringing it in.
Mentioned there's been a lot of pressure on Alex Hale coming into last week's game. He was 4 for 4 in Hamilton for 48, 41, 14, and 52. This one a shorter attempt from 24 away for Hale, who keeps that run going and ties this game with that 24-yard field goal. So Nathan Rourke back on now. Lions had fallen behind a couple of touchdowns in Mosaic back in June and came back and really made it interesting. We get a 3-3 tie. First quarter at BC Place. Another good season for Nathan Rourke, who missed essentially 3 game suits, but in the games he's started, look at that production.
Yeah, that Edmonton game where he was hurt, he had just 1 play from scrimmage. So these are really his average over the games that he's played top to bottom. And that Hamilton-Calgary are the 2 games in the win streak, along with Winnipeg. And Winnipeg, it was Caden Salter with the start in the big rush game with Xander Horvath.
Yeah, big rushing by Salter and Horvath in that one to the tune of nearly 400 yards on the ground when they beat the Bombers a few weeks ago. Here we are in a 3-3 tie. Second possession, BC handing off to James Butler and going nowhere. Lost a couple of yardage. Their sacks leader, James Vaughters, coming in on rush defense there to take him down.
Well, this is 1 and 2, and both are testing those stats and those numbers, so those analytics. Because the BC Lions were number 1 coming in this week against the run on defense. Saskatchewan number 2, not far away either, just a couple of yards away. So both these offenses saying, okay, you guys think you have good run defenses? Let's test that.
Here's Xander Horvath in now. As mentioned, part of that 1-2 punch. Horvath becoming very productive on that BC team. That throw is nearly intercepted. The ex-Lion Josh Woods nearly had a pick against his old teammate.
Back-to-back series. The first one low that he looked like he didn't expect Nathan Rourke to throw it. This one, Rourke wants the bender. He wants that intermediate bender route over the middle. You see Keon Hatcher in behind Josh Woods and right through his hands. Sometimes you want it too much.
He'll be thinking about that one to be sure. Carl Meyer to punt, and the returner back off the injured list is James Letcher. Got hurt back in week 4 after a 60-yard punt. Letcher tries to get the edge, but good work by Adam Konar, helping out Kieran Poisson on special teams. Konar with a big tackle to prevent any damage by Letcher. Beautiful Vancouver. Back at BC Place in a moment. Well, he's the Riders' leading receiver coming in, and that much more important suits, especially when they didn't have Emilus or Schaefer Baker.
Yeah, no question about it. And when you take a look at the categories that he leads his team in, it's basically all of them. I mean, he leads them in targets, receptions, yards, touchdowns, those money catches to move the chains. There's your leader in Saskatchewan.
And one of the top receivers last year in the CFL, he went over 1,000, 11:59. Paulie Conley, they're running again, and he tucks his head under, and he pushes for a few more yards, but 5 for Conley. Gets it up across the 23.
You know, already this Saskatchewan offense, though, with a little bit of mix of the run game in there, is showing, a higher level of execution than they did against Hamilton. Hamilton was, that one off game for this offense, and it was their lowest statistical game as well, not throwing for 300 in that one.
And yet they had a 9-point lead in the 4th quarter.
Absolutely.
The Ticats and Trey Ford came back. They got him. And Corey Mace not happy overall with how that played out. Here's Harris throwing again. And he wants Emilus. And no, ball's incomplete. Coverage there right at the sideline.
Emilus was trying to show great body control there to keep his feet inbounds and have to stretch out for that on the corner route. Shallow corner route here for Emilus. A little bit of a waggle. He's in between the 2 zone droppers and Deontay Williams over the top, but he just couldn't keep his feet in bounds and make the catch at the same time. Just a little too far.
It was back in week 2 in their opener that Stanley Berryhill got hurt, a thigh injury that put him on the 6th game. He just returned last week for BC. And with that injury also in the first game to Seven McGee, it is Berryhill who's their featured returner now. Back for the punt by Oscar Chapman. As Berryhill comes in, take it at the 35, after a 51-yard punt, and works it up to the 44. So Xander Horvath, we'd wondered last week in Calgary, we hardly saw him get any touches at all in the first quarter. Ended up having a very productive game for BC, but the comparison right now to James Butler, their other feature back.
Yeah, and both are dressed. We've seen both. Both have touched the ball, and you take a look at the numbers are pretty close. A little bit of a edge in yards per touch for Horvath, and of course he's a short yardage quarterback, so he's got a few more touchdowns when he's down on the 1-yard line. but numbers very close and completely different style of backs.
Last week, 15 carries, over 100 yards, and a touchdown too. The fake and the throw to Keon Hatcher, and a big first down into the Rider zone, down to the 41. Hatcher's last game here wasn't that productive, but he certainly made up for it last week in Calgary.
Watch how quickly Hatcher makes the decision here. He makes that catch. He knows that he doesn't have a defender in the area, turns and immediately accelerates. 23-yard gain for Keon Hatcher.
7 catches last week at McMahon for 83 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Key to BC's win. Takes that one. Reception down to the 42 of the Riders. Back come the Lions. Play action pass. Rourke can't find a receiver open. Looks like he wants to take off. And he does! And steps over a would-be tackler and picks up a first down inside the 25. The running of Nathan Rourke pays off again for BC.
Well, he can get it done. You know that. We've seen it many times. But I love the decisions here he makes on the fly. One is to get outside, and then he sees he has so much space, he can make the cutback on the first tackler and then safely hook slide without taking a hit he doesn't need to take.
Nathan Rourke has rushed for 11 times this season now for 129 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He can be a game breaker that way as well. Antoine Brooks, the cover linebacker, in on that Rider defense now. It's a 1st and 10. BC at the Saskatchewan 23. Back and forth they go early on here. And quick pressure in by Mike Rose, who takes Nathan Rourke down. Had the little fake, but he had no time at all, as Rose was all over him for his 4th sack of the season.
Yeah, Rose is lined up on Couture here. He's got to snap that ball and then get into his pass protection set. A little bit of an RPO action, and Rose just beats the block. Good quickness right out of the gate, beats the block and gets to... He makes the decision for Rourke, which was to protect himself.
But lost a couple of yards on a 2nd and long now, back at the Rider 25 now. And Rourke again. And underneath, it's caught by Javon Couture. And hauled down there. Jameer Thurman taking him down. It is short of a first down for Couture in his 3rd game back in the BC lineup. He too was injured in their opener against Saskatchewan.
I was going to say it's almost close enough to be decision time for Buck Pierce, but it's 3 or 4. This is field goal time. Gets the points on the drive.
Yeah, a bit too much to think about that. So Sean White, who hit one earlier, a 44, trying a 25-yarder now. Just inside. Carl Meyer put it down. The all-time great kickers in CFL history, Sean White puts another one through. So nothing but field goals so far. These offenses driving down and scoring, but it's in 3s. Now 6-3 BC as Trevor Harris gets set to go again. Josh Woods, BC Place used to be home. Now he arrives as a visitor. Let's go down to say hello to Farhan Lalji.
Yeah, Rod, the word that best describes how Woods felt when he was released by the Lions was blindsided. He grew up in Southern California, so he was a big Kobe Bryant guy. Said one of the things he admired about Kobe was his loyalty and the fact that he stayed with one organization from start to finish. He felt that was what was going to be his future in the CFL with the BC Lions as a West Coast guy. Last year, he really wasn't himself. He came off an ACL injury, suffered the previous year. He missed a bunch of games to start the year, and when he came back, he said, in hindsight, I probably came back too early. But he feels his return was one of the big reasons the Lions were able to turn their fortunes around defensively. He's still very close to a number of players on this team. He still is on a number of BC Lions group texts. As for last year's West Final, he said he still laments that loss. That entire team late in the game felt they were going to win that game, and it made his release that much more difficult to digest.
Absolutely, Farhan. Here's Trevor Harris throwing, nearly picked. Stepping in front is Jackson Finley on Johnny Johnson. Got the fingertips on it. Certainly broke up the play. 2nd down.
Yeah, and when he was available and talking to other teams, Josh Woods told us he talked to every team in the West. But when he made that call to Corey Mace in 10 seconds, both guys, and we've talked to both about that call, both said it was an immediate connection.
Just knew.
He just knew that this was the team he wanted to play for, and that's the coach he wanted to play for and go out and go to battle for.
And that win in week 2 with the Riders against BC, certainly sweet for him. Harris throwing again, it's caught. First down up near midfield, and there is the first catch for Sam Emilus since his return.
Sam Emilus with his speed, and it's tough to gauge his speed because he's so smooth. But with his speed, you have to respect that as a DB. It gets you out of your chair really quickly.
And there was a flag thrown in the Rider backfield. Looks like it's going against the Lions. Here's the referee, Justin McInnes.
Illegal block, hands to the face, BC number 90. Penalty is declined. First down, Saskatchewan.
I don't know if you might have to work on the terminology. Clearly, you can't get your hands in the offense's face. He thought he was being held. So it is a penalty. There's no question.
Just calling it a legal block, though, that you're...
From a defensive lineman just seems weird. Let's change that terminology.
Up to the 54 and a first down. Saskatchewan trailing by 3. Quali Conley again. And maybe a yard or 2, but not much there. A little wall of black and orange to greet him.
A sack per game. He didn't have one in that Hamilton game. I'm talking about Matthew Betts, who crashed down on that to help out on that tackle immediately. But he has had 4 in the other 4 games around that Hamilton game. Those totals, you know, are going to be there. Everybody that plays against Matthew Betts says the same thing. He has a motor that never quits, never stops. He does not take a play off.
Two-time Defensive Player of the Year, including last year. Matthew Betts, second and long. Harris quickly gets rid of it, and a crowd to Emilus threaded that one in, and that looks like another first down for Saskatchewan. Right at the end of the first quarter as they get 11 more yards and start to get one of their top receivers involved after an injury layoff in Sam Emilus. There he is, Jared Suter, performing here outside BC Place before this, the second showdown of the season between the top 2 teams in the West a year ago. Quarter number 2 still ahead here on the CFL on TSN. Getting set for the second quarter at BC Place. The Lions lead by 3, but since both offenses have been able to move the football, just nobody's been able to find the end zone yet.
Yeah, exactly. That's just not finishing drives with majors. The Lions have had a couple of opportunities to do that, settled for field goals. Riders, this is their 3rd drive. You see that Sam Emilus catch. I mean, first of all, tremendously strong hands to fight off Ronald Kent. But look how smooth. Watch Kent 21 there. He has to open up. He has to get out of his back pedal, out of his chair to respect the great speed and smooth route running of Emilus. That's what he brings to the table. That will also open up some underneath routes when he is the clear out guy trying to pull the defense with him down the field.
On pace for another 1,000-yard receiving season. He didn't have that last year because he only played in 7 games. Injuries were a problem, although he certainly finished strong, but trying to avoid the same fate this year. He's missed 3 games, but getting involved in that offense now. Quarter 2, Quali Conley driving on that first down, and it'll set up the 2nd and 5 just inside the 40.
Watch the big boys just get hunkered down here and just take this to the next level, sort of a zone concept to just go ahead and drive that left side of the defensive line. Connolly just kind of gets caught in the mesh, but that initial push, Jamarcus Hardrick taking care of his man on the outside. That was Levi Bell, I believe.
Plus 43 differential in the second quarter this season between these 2 teams for Saskatchewan. Here's Trevor Harris, 2nd and 5, and no. Into the turf it goes. Closest receiver was Johnny Johnson. It falls incomplete, and looks like another field goal try coming up here.
Closest receiver was Johnny Johnson. Closest defender was Matthew Betts, who on that play was asked to drop into coverage and run with a fast receiver in Johnson, who scored his first touchdown last week.
And so on comes Alex Hale. He's 1 for 1. He had a career-high 52-yarder last week, going 4 for 4 in field goals in Hamilton. This one from 47 away, put down by Oscar Chapman. I'll tell you, Alex Hale been under a lot of pressure lately, and since they brought in another kicker to give him a little competition, he's got it going right now.
Said it many times, Rod. Competition gets the best out of players. It's way better than coaches' speeches.
Well, the adventure of a lifetime continues all across the country. You know, I'm talking about the Amazing Race Canada, all new Tuesdays on CTV, streamed next day on Crave.
Speaking of competition, right?
Yeah. If only we could find what activities we could compete in this.
See,
well, I'll speak for myself.
Well, how about watermelon smash?
Watermelon smash. Hey,
that was happening outside.
It is. It's the annual watermelon smash when the Riders come to town. A lot of that going on outside BC Place.
And a lot of green jerseys inside.
You bet. Here's James Butler. He takes a pop from Jackson Ford, and he turns around and he drives for more. It's 7 or 8 yards more after Ford came in and hit him hard. 13-yard pickup. Another guy that's pretty fired up right now is Butler.
And getting pushed by competition from Xander Horvath. And he makes a nice move at the line. There's the hit from Jackson Ford, who comes up from his safety spot to help in run support. But he comes up, and this is just good football play all around. Keep the legs chugging.
Gets it close to midfield at the BC 53. Second quarter early. Rolling out, settling in with lots of time. Rourke fires it, and it is down there for Javon Catoy. A little discussion. Jonathan Edouard thinks that it's the turf first, and the Lions quickly getting up over the ball before there can be a challenge.
Yeah, they are, and see what Corey Mace does. Well, that'll be tough to overturn just from that angle.
They run the play. No challenge. Not one in time. 24-yard pickup. And that is caught. And then lunging inside the 25. And the first catch of this game for Justin McInnes.
Buck Pierce doing a nice job here in the play calling to get Nathan Rourke outside of containment. Get him on the run. Change the launch point. Make it tough to just hone in if you're a defensive lineman.
To the 23 of the Riders, Rourke with time again. Up in the end zone and a touchdown. Javon Catoy has it. And a quick drive. And the first time a team has found the end zone in this game as the Lions take the lead again.
BC goes with some tempo, trying to get in and out of the huddle quickly. They had that throw over the middle to Catoy. Was close, but they hurried up, got the snap before Corey Mace was able to take a look at it, or at least hear from his spotters whether he wanted to challenge whether or not that was a catch, but ruled a catch on the field. And then here's the touchdown throw. 4-man pressure. Started to get there, but not in time. Catoy right down the seam. And
the first touchdown of the season for Javon Catoy, who missed a lot of games, hurt against Saskatchewan in their opener back in mid-June. This is third game back, and there's a souvenir. Handing it off to somebody special right there is Catoy. Had a great game here in his first game back a couple of weeks ago when he had 7 catches for 109. And adds a touchdown there for a 13-6 BC lead.
First time in BC, first time at a Lions game.
Lots of family and friends in the audience for Javon Catoy on this drive. 4 plays, 70 yards, but I like the tempo of it. Started with the run. Also got Nathan Rourke on the run outside, changing the launch point. That's Justin McInnes, and then finishes right down the seam. Javon Catoy coming off the injury list a couple weeks ago when he had a big game. His first 100-yard in his career. First touchdown of the season.
On a 4-play, 70-yard drive in just over 2 minutes. That's James Fletcher back in the Rider lineup and gets it up across the 40 for Trevor Harris in that offense.
Back in BC Place, remember the World Cup? Them in Kelowna for a while. He was injured for a while, and Mum's got a souvenir in the crowd.
Yeah, Mum Valerie coming down to get that football. Take good care of it. We talked to him last week. Calgary is home after growing up in St. Vincent. He was 9 when he moved to Calgary and played junior football, high school and junior there, but of course quite a home in BC as well, and he's got good support from his family. Pat McMahon last week, and here at BC Place too, as he's got the first touchdown of this game. Rider football up at their 43, down 47. Harris throwing to the right to Johnny Johnson. And he gets it to the 50, tries to push a little closer to the first down marker. It's like a second and short ahead here for the green and white.
The chess match between Mark Mueller and Mike Benavides in this game is fascinating, because when you play against a guy like the veteran and Trevor Harris, who's seen and done it all, you want him to be patient, make him drive the field 12, 14, 15 plays. But he will. I mean, he is that precise, that accurate, completion percentage through the roof. So you're tempted and pushed to play more man.
2nd and 1, and that's Tommy Stevens' time, and lunges ahead and gets not only the 1, but a little bit more closer to midfield. Tommy Stevens, by the way, and Xander Horvath, the league leaders in touchdowns scored with 11. Yes. They've been going back and forth.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons that Xander Horvath has more touchdowns than James Butler, is because he's a short yardage guy taking the ball from center when they're down in the goal line. But Tommy Stevens is sort of building his own fan base across the country by the way he does it.
Raising the profile of the short yardage QB.
No question.
Right at midfield. That's Thomas Bertrand with his first carry of this game, and doesn't get much, maybe a yard there, and another 2nd and long coming up here for the Riders.
Yeah, so here's the dilemma now, and this is where the chess match is interesting. If you're BC and you drop into zones here, you know, the chances that Trevor Harris will recognize it immediately and find that soft spot in the zone is through the roof good. So Mark Mueller knows that. If you're going to go and try to play man and maybe even send some pressure in your Mike Benavides, now you got a one-on-one with Sam Emlis or Keyshawn Johnson.
No gain at all for Bertrand, so shy of midfield. It's a 2nd down and 10. Some pressure coming for Harris, who gets rid of it underneath and dealt Duncan Busby. And good work as TJ Lee hit him, but he is just short of a first down. A 9-yard pickup there for Duncan Busby. And 3rd and 1, and it's Tommy time again.
This is that soft spot that I just mentioned. And first of all, Keyshawn Johnson, nice block on the edge. He tried sort of a zone blitz. He got a block on Matthew Betts, so he helps out in the protection department. And there's the soft spot, and Trevor Harris found it immediately.
Tommy Stevens standing under center. They want a yard, and well, he doesn't get much more. They had to get right to the 45, but it looks like he did get enough that time to move the sticks for Saskatchewan.
Question I have with Tommy Stevens is, when are they going to call the throw? When are they going to have him fake it, jump back, and maybe throw a touchdown pass to add to his statistical totals? Because he's got 11 rushing.
I had some fun talking to Trevor Harris last week about the week before when he was lining out late in the game as a receiver. So you got 2 QBs in the huddle, and I was just wondering, they're not going to do anything at that point in the game against Ottawa, but it's still just wondering when you see Trevor out there sometimes in short yardage what they might have cooking.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I throw it to Trevor.
You don't think you'd throw it?
Just in case he gets blown up by a DB or something. I don't know they want to take that risk.
But maybe change things up and have him go out and Harris go in. Right?
Yeah, and exactly. And put Emlis out there, or any one of them, Keyshawn Johnson. And have him fake like he's going to hit the line of scrimmage, especially on a 3rd down when you know everyone collapses into the middle.
Well, usually Tommy Stevens has money in the bank, and he is that time too. It's close, they measure, but with the ball right at the 45, it is a first down for Saskatchewan, and 17 is back on the sideline.
You see him walk to the bench there. He's upset. That was too close.
Brought the sticks out.
Yeah. They never bring the sticks out when I'm in short yardage. Like, that's not acceptable. We got it, but we're moving on. We'll get it in a big way next time. Boy, Mike Benavides' defense has played well.
Sure
Much
has.
better than they did in the first 2-3 games of the season over the last month.
Yeah, they faced a lot of heat back then, but steadily improving. Here's Harris throwing and slipping after the catch, but still lunging ahead for what looks like another first down is Keyshawn Johnson.
Yeah, just a lot of zone drops, especially on first down. And one thing that with Bertrand Houdon in the backfield that playing zone on first down helps you defensively is that everybody's facing the line of scrimmage.
The Lion 34 throwing again and in traffic, but it is caught again to Emlis. Another catch for him. He had a couple late in the first quarter in his first game back, and 7 more yards for the Riders.
But I'll tell you, when you're looking at if you can defensively bend like this and play a lot of zones that Trevor Harris has dissected, but give up only field goals, not majors, then the strategy starts to pay off.
It stands now on a 2nd and 3. Field goal range again, but BC scored a touchdown. They're looking for more pressure coming. Harris lofts it off. It's intercepted. TJ Lee. He has a pick in back-to-back games. He had the one that snuffed out the chance for Calgary to come back and win it at McMahon last week. And Lee, the veteran, on that 2nd down play, steps up and picks off another one. So the drive ends and no points for the Riders. BC football, thanks to Lee, and a 7-point lead.
TJ Lee with his 31st career interception, picked up number 30 last week, and it meant a lot to him to get to that number 30, given what he's been through the last couple of years. You'll remember a year ago the Lions chose not to bring him back. It wasn't until the defense was having all sorts of problems midway through the season that they did have him get back into the lineup. So Mike Benavides put together a presentation. Part of that was a Did You Know trivia game when TJ Lee broke back into the league in 2014. Did you know that Jackson Finley was 11 years old? He was still in elementary school. Since then, TJ's become a real mentor to Jackson, who at times struggled earlier in this year. He wanted to make sure he understood that the defensive secondary is right 99% of the time, but the 1% you're not, that's when everybody comes to you. He says he runs film sessions by himself. He says there's a saying in BC, blame TJ for everything. And now he says blame Finley for everything. But again, a big mentor who does everything he can to make sure the young DB is in a pretty good place.
And Farhan, it was fun talking to him about that. There they are side by side, but try to make TJ Lee feel a little bit older. 11 years old was Jackson Finley when he broke into the league.
Really incredible. And that interception, Jackson Finley went on a safety blitz, leaving them in man-to-man. In that man-to-man matchup, TJ gets his 2nd of the season.
Back-to-back weeks. So here's Nathan Rourke going to work to Keon Hatcher. Settles down, catches it, turns around, drives it up across the 35, and the 3rd catch for last year's leading receiver in the CFL, Keon Hatcher.
Had a big breakout game. Not a breakout game, that's the wrong way to say it, but comeback game for Keon Hatcher against Calgary. Got in the end zone. Nice game. Didn't have any drops. Couple weeks ago, he struggled a little bit, was fighting the ball, and he bounced back in a big way against the Stampeders.
21-yard pickup. Nathan Rourke at this point now, 150 yards passing. Talked about all those 300-yard games he's been getting. Well on his way. Here's Xander Horvath. Breaks a couple of tackles, but not that one. It's DeMarcus Fields coming in and gets him wrapped up low and takes him down at the 40 after a 4-yard pickup.
DBs often have to get up and run support. Macombo wants to keep him contained, but he gets blocked, and that's a big tackle by DeMarcus Fields because Horvath had a lot of room to the outside if he broke that one tackle.
Not an easy guy to haul down either when he gets ahead of steam.
Oh, he is not.
BC 1 for 4 on 2nd downs. They got one now, 2nd and 6 at their 40, leading by 7. And wants to check it down there for Horvath, but he was rushed so much he couldn't get it right on target. And we got a 3rd down in the punting unit coming on here for BC.
And Xander Horvath will stay out for the punt team. So he gets his turn offensively. Letcher back there. And now he's going to be a personal protector on the punt team and go ahead and try and cover this and get to.
And James Letcher, his first season with the Roughriders, he has 5 career return touchdowns, all with the Montreal Alouettes, won a Grey Cup with the Owls in 23. As mentioned, injured in week 4, so hasn't had a lot of time in green and white. But back in the lineup today after a 50-yard punt, takes it at his 20 and works it just up across the 30. So back to Trevor Harris and the Saskatchewan offense. Turned the ball over last time around. Getting late in the first half. Riders trailing by 7.
The CFL on TSN is brought to you in part by The Score Bet, an official gaming partner of the CFL.
So here's the two of them, Jackson Finley and TJ Lee, talking it over in the huddle. Let's go back to TJ Lee's interception. Here's the blitz coming right down the middle, and that leaves the matchup right here between TJ Lee and the Rider receiver in a one-on-one. And he gets with the pressure. That's Keyshawn Johnson doing the double move. He comes up with a pick on the underthrow.
Harris under pressure gets it away. Saskatchewan starts another drive, completes it to Keyshawn Johnson up around the 35 of the Riders. They'll mark it actually a little further back.
Offside, BC number 90. It's 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
So they get more than that anyway with the offside to Matthew Betts, and they'll mark it down at the 36.
Betts is so quick that it's probably very difficult to determine whether or not he's early, but clearly he was there. Kind of hopped into the neutral zone before he even took off.
It's the second penalty of the half. It makes it a 1st and 5. Harris and the Riders. Quali Conley busts it outside and is a good pickup. A first down and more, but another flag is out now. All of a sudden, he gets that one up to the Rider 47. See what the flag's about. Looks like it's coming back.
Yeah, it looks like a holding.
Holding, Saskatchewan, number 66. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
It's the right guard, Jacob Bramer, flag for the hold.
As he walks back, does not agree with the call, clearly. Frustrating for the head coach and for the entire offense when you get a holding call on a run play.
That was on a 1st and 5. They had first down yardage. And now it's a 1st and 15. Back-to-back penalties in this drive. One for each team. From the 26, Harris. And it's caught by Keyshawn Johnson, getting it up across the 45. And that is a first down for Saskatchewan.
Both these quarterbacks very good at that bender route.
21 more yards for Keyshawn Johnson. 3-minute warning until halftime.
Coming up, we give all the love to the BC Lions, and we requested a watermelon for our own watermelon smash. But our coworkers are so amazing, they brought us pre-cut watermelon. We're just gonna eat it. Sorry, everyone.
Randy, it's your fault.
Wow, your fault.
Hey, Kate, it's good use of watermelon to eat one. Would never dispute that, but I'm trying to imagine a good old smash in the studio.
It's not the same to smash a slice.
No, definitely not. Well, you need at least like a half or a quarter maybe, but a slice, I don't know.
It just doesn't have the same effect to take a little wedge of watermelon and throw it on the ground.
Another 9-yard pickup for the Riders, and Tommy Stevens coming back on. He's been money. His last one, though, they did bring the sticks out to measure, but a 2nd and 1 this time around. Sam Emilus with that catch that got them into this situation. Right across midfield, late first half. Riders down 7. Ho-hum. Another yard. They don't need to bring the sticks out for this one. He's got it just inside the 50. And we've seen this before from Tommy Stevens, that sometimes if you need one, you'll get one, or maybe you'll get 5 or 10, or who knows what you're going to get.
Well, and they will have him in different situations as well, where they run that play where the tailback, whomever it is, sometimes it's Bertrand Houdon, will be out there, and he will lead block for Stevens on basic running plays. But again, he can throw at any time. I mean, he was a tailback in high school for half of it. Then he became a quarterback. Then they made him a tight end when he went to the NFL. Back to quarterback.
And back to Trevor Harris now, swinging it out to Conley on the first down. Lots of room ahead. Inside the 20, the 10, the 5, and into the end zone for a Saskatchewan touchdown. But we have a flag. A flag way back at the line of scrimmage. Could this be coming back?
I think Dylan Jette.
Illegal block, hands to the face. Saskatchewan number 52. It's a 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Yeah, Jette. I think Dylan Jette went over there and said, "This is coming back. It's a great play, and you showed great speed, but it's coming back." See the hands right there from Jamarcus Hardrick, just a little too high up in the face mask area. Now we've seen one of those penalties have gone both ways.
Got the touchdown, took some punishment at the wall, but all for naught as it comes back from that penalty to the Riders. So back to their 51, 2:08 of the clock till halftime, and a 1st and 20. BC 13, Saskatchewan 6. Harris with time underneath the MLS, just across midfield. Still lots of ground they have to gain. Either get a first down or get it closer to a field goal situation now. Still 2nd and long, 2nd and 15 ahead.
Yeah, this is the type of play offensively that you're hoping that one tackle you can win in that one-on-one tackle. But that was Parker McKenna. And Parker McKenna on that tackle, he's missed one all year. One tackle all season long since he's been inserted into the lineup.
He's been a great addition. Inside linebacker spot for that BC defense. 1:44 till halftime. 3-man rush. Lob to Todd, nearly intercepted by Darnell Sankey. So we've seen some near picks in this game, in addition to the one that TJ Lee had, but instead, Saskatchewan's going to get the chance to punt this football away.
Yeah, been some missed opportunities for both these teams. Both have settled for field goals when they've had pretty good field position and been in plus territory. Both have had shots at interceptions. Josh Woods has had the ball in his hands twice for Saskatchewan. That one, Sankey took some friendly fire that knocked it out of there.
BC will get the ball back. The punt by Oscar Chapman to Stanley Berryhill, but a good punt inside the 5 for Berryhill, a 51-yarder. And the return gets up across the 15, about the 17-yard line. 1:27 to go, and a 7-point difference right now with Nathan Rourke and the Lions leading the way. They lost their opening game at Mosaic in Regina. And some thoughts on this game coming up from Kate Nenock and Chezzy and Paul Lapalisse.
Congrats.
Congrats to Lapo, the women's team too, Rachel Lessard, and the men's team. They're going to the Olympics in 2028, and that's just terrific. So the panel is ahead, but we go 1:27 on the clock. And it's the Lions losing another heartbreaker in Saskatchewan back in week 2, their other meeting this year. Good work up front by that Rider defense on Xander Horvath. Not an easy guy to bring down, but they do. And he's got nothing there, 2nd down ahead.
Yeah, not an easy guy to bring down. And a really tough defense to get your run game going. But the one way that BC may want to try to do it is to get outside and try to get those little swing passes, extended runs. Get away from guys like Mike Rose and Caleb Saunders in the middle.
Second and 10, BC 18. It's caught. Well shy of a first down. That's Keon Hatcher with it. Hit there by Marcus Sales, ex-Lion. 7-yard pickup. And the 4th catch for Hatcher, but the punting unit will come on, and just under a minute to go.
Hatcher took a hit here from Marcus Sales. Took a hit, drove him into the turf, and then helped him up.
Well, old teammates.
Yep.
Sales was here for a couple of years, started with Winnipeg, won a Grey Cup with the Bombers in 19, then went to the Lions, and then wound up last couple of years.
Chance for a couple plays here for Trevor Harris to get in field goal range at the very least.
And you got James Letcher back for the Riders, who's a game-breaking returner inside the 35. Well, Daniel Weeb did a very good job, too, filling in for him in the punt returns. Here's Letcher. And a good punt, 57, but the placement was excellent. And Letcher tiptoeing down the sidelines. Managed to get a pretty good return under the circumstances with limited space as he gets it up across the 45. So 28 ticks until halftime for Trevor Harris.
He's got time for 3 plays if he's very efficient here. Needs one chunk of the 3. Letcher, coaching staff or people not dressed on the sideline, took some hits there. Really well placed punt by the Lions.
Carl Meyer. So 47 of Saskatchewan. 28 seconds to go. And they get a play or 2 to get them in field goal range. Here's Harris. Deeper shot. It's caught. It's a first touchdown and more for Johnny Johnson. Wide open. Ball came out as he was taken down. And now the Lions making a case for it now. A 35-yard play, but it was coughed up by Johnson, and BC has it.
Who created the turnover is the question, because Johnson is open down the seam. Trevor Harris finds him. And they're looking at not only field goal position, but maybe a shot at the end zone. TJ Lee with a tackle attempt there. Deontay Williams and Jackson Finley. And Williams just takes it from him.
Just took it away. Straight transfer, no fumble. Deontay Williams says thank you to Johnny Johnson. BC football. And late in the half, 17 seconds, still deeper in their own zone, down at their 29. They have the lead. And will they be just content with that with so little time left? Let's see. 3 receivers out to the left, handing it off, Xander Horvath. And no, it gets up to the 30, and that's Derek Roberson, one of the newer players on that Rider defense.
This is how hard that Xander Horvath is to tackle. You can pull one of his legs up in the air, so he only has one, and he'll still get 4 or 5 off the edge. Look at this against the Calgary Stampeders.
And that's Big Miles Brown who's got him wrapped. And, you know, he couldn't keep the legs chugging. He had a leg chugging on that. Just one, with Jaden Grant wrapped up the other one. But now BC will be content to take a knee and call it a half. And a pretty good half for Nathan Rourke and the BC Lions, leading at 13-6.
Having said that, the Rider defense has done a pretty good job in that first half against Xander Horvath.
They have. They've defended him very well. Horvath with only 8 yards rushing on 4 carries, but Nathan Rourke, though, 10 of 13 for 157 yards and 1 touchdown to Javon Catoy.
Yeah, that touchdown to Catoy, first of the season. 4-play drive, finish right there.
And here he is now with Farhan.
Javon, 3 catches for 56 yards and the 1 touchdown. You're 2 games back at BC Place since the injury. Been pretty kind to you.
Yeah, I love BC Place. I love playing here. We're executing well right now on offense. We just got to make sure we finish in the second half.
How do you do that? You mentioned you've had yards, you've had first downs, you've been able to move the ball, but the end zone's been elusive.
Yeah, just being attentive to details in the film room, in practice, you know. When we're all clicking at the same time, we're pretty much lethal. So we just got to make sure we keep on doing that in the second half.
I can't believe this is the first time your mom's been here. What did it mean to you to give her the ball?
Special, man. My mom's first time in Vancouver on the West Coast, and her first time at a BC Lions game, man. I love my mom to death. She sacrificed everything for me, so that touchdown made it feel more special. And you can see the Vinci flags right there in the stands, man. Hell yeah.
Thanks for this. Enjoy the family time in the second half.
Appreciate it, Farhan.
All right, Kate, it is the Watermelon Smash. I don't know if you got any watermelon in studios, but I know you guys always have a smashing time. Lions lead by 7 at halftime.
Time here. Just a great story from Javon Catoy, too. When we saw him go over to his mom, and the fact that she's there for the very first time, I mean, that can't be written any better. Back alongside Enoch, Davis Sanchez, and Paul Lapolice. And this is amazing to think that at the beginning of the season, the one thing that we consistently harped on was the defense of the BC Lions, and just, every team was coming in and just having their way with them. This looks like a completely revamped defense. They are so shut down, and this has been consistent now for a few weeks. Ches, they might be the real deal.
Well, if you look at stat-wise, one of the things I look at, yards per play, 6.57, number 1 in the CFL, the BC Lions. And playing for Mike Benavides, I played for him as a defensive coordinator. He's going to give you a lot of different looks. So there's a lot of packages. You have to have a cerebral group, and they have that. So when you look at kind of the maturation, KB, of what's happened from week 1 to now, it's the combination of the younger players on this defense getting acclimated to what's going on, kind of picking up the system, and then the group of cerebral guys they have. You know, you heard Farhan and Suits talking about TJ Lee, his 31st career pick right there. Ask anyone around the league or anyone who's been around TJ Lee. He's one of the smartest guys that you'll find. Jackson Finley, a younger guy, same thing. A cerebral football player. Those guys playing together. And then Sankey. Darnell Sankey as a linebacker. You saw that, him getting his drop there. He pattern reads. He understands what's going on the football field. That's what allowed him to get back there. I looked collectively at this group, and I saw it earlier. I can't say I knew they were going to be better at this point in time, but I'm not that surprised when you look at how Benny's defense is, what he expects from you. They might take some time to come together as a group, and they've shown that.
Yeah, and you talk about the maturation process and how long it took for that defense to gel. Well, Nathan Rourke was hot all season long. He did get injured, but he's hot. And he looks like he's back in shape right now, and he's getting back acclimated with his receivers as well. Tonight, he's been a tremendous job. I love what the play calling has been like at the beginning of the game. It's been play action, play action. Why? Xander Horvath, last week, over 100 yards. The last few weeks, he's averaged amazing when it comes to the run game. And you come into the game, you know the defense is going to be looking for the run game. Play action, and let Nathan work. And obviously here, Nathan always has the ability, 19-yard run, and does not take the hit. You know you're the MVP, the most valuable player on this team. Don't take the unnecessary hits, and obviously he has fine guys in the end zone as well. His ability to extend plays, his ability to have the vision, patience, and even when he runs, he's still looking at his receivers. He's doing a tremendous job tonight. I want to see how they're going to implement the running game because the Saskatchewan Roughriders are keen in on that.
Yeah, and what I'll say is when he gets first downs, a lot of offense comes out, and a lot of different things. And one of the ways these guys scored a touchdown was off a tempo offense after a first down. And there's so many different ways. Watch him. He's sitting here talking about, all right, we're going fast. What's going fast? He coded word to tell everybody what to do. You're lining up at empty and watch to the top of your screen. You got three guys not ready to play football. They're still looking at the sideline, still getting lined up. And then before you know it, Couture runs right by Antoine Brooks. The safety's on the back hash. Nathan Rourke is playing faster than the defense on that play. Tempo helps you. There's many ways to score. That's one of the things in their arsenal. So when you get more first downs, the hardest part of this team is it's going to be play action. It's going to be using his legs. It's going to be tempo, all those different things. So it's fun to watch the BC Lions offense.
You know, I think overall, too, it's just fun to watch the BC Lions play this way. At the beginning of the season, too. I mean, and then the Nathan injury and the defense wasn't playing well, but now all three phases of this team, they look like they're putting together something special, and that's really what you need in the CFL.
Good-looking crowd out there, too. That's I think this group and that dome, playing there a long time, if it's rocking in there, that's a great slide.
The only thing I would say is, though, that's also a little bit of the Rider effect. The Rider effect is a pretty amazing thing in the CFL. But you're right. If the BC Lions can get all their fans in there, it's incredible.
Javon brought his whole family.
Javon brought everyone. Section 109, really cool. All Javon Couture's family. Awesome. We have more on the changes in Ottawa right after this. Announced today that Sean Burke, Vice President of Football Operations, is leaving his role. Burke had led this team since 2021. CEO Mark Gowdy said Sean gave an enormous amount to the job and community, but the football results have not been good enough. With much more, here is our CFL insider, Dave Naylor.
The Ottawa Redblacks' decision on Sunday to dismiss Vice President of Football Operations Sean Burke came 2 days after the Redblacks' latest defeat to the Montreal Alouettes, running their record on the season to 0-10 and extending their overall losing streak to 16 games dating back to the end of last season, which is a record for the modern era of the CFL. Now, Burke was hired before the 2022 season and given the title of general manager after spending several years on the football operations side of the Hamilton Tiger Cats. He moved up to vice president of football operations after last season when Ryan Dinwiddie came from Toronto and was given the title of both head coach and general manager. Under Burke, the Redblacks had just one season over 500, just one playoff appearance, and overall had a record of 21-60. Now, Burke does have a year and a half remaining on his contract, and Ottawa has used both of its mulligans. That's the provision under CFL rules where teams can erase the amount owing on a contract from their football operations cap. So since Ottawa has no mulligans left, they will have to amortize that over the next 5 seasons, but that should not have a meaningful effect on their ability to go forward and hire as the Redblacks look to reset things after the dismissal of Sean Burke.
The overhaul in Ottawa continues. Meanwhile, one half of football remains in week number 12. We will get you back to BC Place right after this.
And it was still one possession.
Halftime at BC Place, the Lions lead the Riders 13-6, but a bright spot for Saskatchewan. Sam Emmel is back after missing 3 games. He's been their leading receiver so far and standing by with Farhan.
Sam, 5 catches for you in that first half. You really started to get things going in that second quarter. How comfortable are you after a month off?
Yeah, I mean, I just get my feet wet again, and I just think we're doing the right thing. We just got to finish collectively.
I'll follow you.
Yeah, both teams have been moving the ball. Both defenses have eventually been stiffening. What can you do to finish?
I mean, it's never me, it's us, you know. We just got to play clean football and finish our drive. We're going to be just fine.
Thanks for this, Sam.
Thank you.
Well, Riders trail by 7 suits. Could have been a different story. Trevor Harris led him down to scoring range, and a couple of costly turnovers taking points off the board.
Yeah, one Deontay Williams pulled the ball away from Johnny Johnson, and then that interception by TJ Lee. So missed opportunities for points there. But the defense can take a little of this responsibility, too. See Keon Hatcher working on the neck after that late tackle late in that first half. But Josh Woods, remember, early in this first quarter had the ball in his hands a couple of times and didn't come away with the interceptions.
So Corey Mason, the Riders, had deferred after winning the toss, so they want the ball to start the second half. There's James Letcher back in the Rider uniform, coming over as a free agent from the Montreal Alouettes in the offseason, but he got hurt in week 4 and hadn't played since. First game back. And Carl Meyer to kick it off for BC. Well, the Riders trying to keep pace with the Edmonton Elks, who are first in the West. BC looking for their 4th straight win, which would get them to 500. And they lead to start the second half on the kick by Meyer. It's Letcher taking it at his 16. Stays to the left, turns it upfield, turns on the Jets, and a good return to get up near midfield for James Letcher, making his presence felt.
Yeah, real good field position to start the second half for this guy. And in Trevor Harris, who was 12 of 18, 169 yards. But you mentioned it. Both teams moving the ball well offensively and then coming away with field goal attempts, or in Saskatchewan's case, a couple of turnovers when in field goal range. So that's the difference in the scoreboard right now. Just as Sam Emmel said, it's not me, it's us. We just have to finish.
And they'll start actually from their 47. So they say that Letcher stepped out of bounds a little bit earlier. So out of shotgun and handing off a running play and a flag coming out. Jackson Finley in on the tackle of Quali Conley on very little picked up there by the Riders.
Flag deep in the BC secondary on a running play, which again, from a long distance is often the holding. They're going to talk, the officials talking with Buck Pierce, which means it's probably against Saskatchewan because Buck would get the option.
And they're marching it off against Saskatchewan.
Illegal low block, Saskatchewan number 88. It's a 10-yard penalty. We'll repeat first down.
It was announced by the referee Justin McInnes, and illegal low block called on the receiver Johnny Johnson.
Yeah, Johnny Johnson was outside of the box right here, and then he comes down and goes low, and you can't do that because the defensive lineman, he can't see you coming from there, and it's a dangerous play.
And it's a 10-yard penalty, so they're pushed back to their 37, and a 1st and 20 now. Early second half, and it goes off right there to Johnny Johnson. The flag before, gets the ball in his hands, gets it really back to the original line of scrimmage. No gain there at all.
Ronald Kent came out of his responsibility in a heartbeat. And yes, he made the play there. But the question now is for Trevor Harris, did he register that? How quickly he came from his zone to get behind the line of scrimmage to make that tackle, because you know what comes out of that? A little pump fake and a go route behind him.
So a 2nd and 15 now. Got a 2nd and 20. Harris stepping up and taking off. Doesn't run a lot and gets tackled there in the open field by Parker McKenna. He does get 10 yards, but the punting unit will come on as the Riders will have to kick it away.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, we've played 9 games, well, 9.5 for these teams now. That's the 5th run. for Trevor Harris.
So that was a 2nd and 20. He gained 10, so a 3rd and 10 now is Oscar Chapman coming back. 2 returners again for the Lions in Berryhill and Jermaine Jackson. And it will be sent Berryhill's way. Take it right around the 20. Loses the handle. Ball's out. Riders have it. Nick Weed takes it in for a touchdown, but of course the flag is out. There's no yards against Saskatchewan.
It's either no yards on a special team. It's either
no yards. Saskatchewan, number 28. 15-yard penalty. First down, BC.
Well, that's Corey Mason. We heard Sam Emilus say we just got to clean things up, eliminating some of these penalties that have been costly.
Nearly a break for the Riders, but they got a little bit too close there on Stanley Berryhill.
Let's go back. I know Rider fans want to know if this was within the 5 yards and a good call on the penalty. Stop it there. I mean, there's 1 and 2. Jackson, Ford, and Straker both within that 5-yard halo, taking the Nick Weeb touchdown on the scoop and score off the board.
Straker, you can see clearly trying to slide back and not get within the zone. You're close to see Nick Weeb too. Picked it up, took it in, but all for naught. It's BC ball. Right up across the 35 now. They have the 7-point lead. We're in the 3rd quarter here at BC Place. Nathan Rourke goes to work and finds an open receiver too. It's Javon Catoy who has the 1 touchdown in this game, his first of the season.
Yeah, he had a good first half and a souvenir for his mom in the stands with his first touchdown. And crossing route on that 4-play drive. This is the one they hustled so that Corey Mace couldn't challenge that. That was 16 yards, and then the touchdown, and then Mom gets a long-distance hug and a game ball.
How about that for Mom in her first game at BC Place? We got movement by Caleb Sanders. Free play. Flag out. Deep shot. Intercepted by Jonathan Edouard, which would be his 2nd of the season. But as mentioned, we had movement on the line. And could this play be all for naught?
The replay center will help here. They're going to take a look to make sure that the Riders weren't drawn offside, but it looked like one of those D linemen were in the neutral zone. Caleb Sanders had clearly moved, and that'll be the
offside,
question.
Saskatchewan, number 99. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Right there.
Yep. Boy, some big plays. That Connolly run, the scoop and score here, and an interception now. Penalties taking all 3 of those plays off the board.
And instead, the Lions, with the penalty, move into the Riders zone at the Saskatchewan 53 and a 1st and 5 for Nathan Rourke. It's 10-13, 157 and a touchdown pass to Catoy. Moving to his left, a shovel pass and greeted right away. Jameer Thurman is in, and Derek Roberson on James Butler, who was met by them immediately after catching that shovel pass.
Yeah, we had a great conversation with Michael Couture, the center for the Lions, this week in our production meeting, and he said, I asked him about playing against linebackers in the league. There's so many good ones. And I said, who's the toughest to block? He said, Jameer Thurman. And it's because of his want-to factor, but his anticipation in reading the play. He said he's super tough to get out there and get block on him. He's got those long arms, too, to fight it off.
He timed that up just perfectly on saying hello to Butler. 3-man rush. And it's caught, and it's a first down. That's Justin McInnes again. Another catch for him down close to the Rider 40.
Right now, they've moved Keon Hatcher to wide receiver for a lot of these formations. Put Catoy in the slot. Catoy is lined up as a wide receiver on the depth chart.
Working tempo here after that pickup, and right back to McInnes, who now has his 3rd catch. Those back-to-back catches.
And the only reason I bring it up is that Catoy at the wideout spot and Keon in the middle. Remember that hit he took in the first half late in that one? I think this was Marcus Sales that drove his head down. He was working on the neck coming out at halftime. They've moved him out to that wide side, wide field position, wide receiver position.
And so that Second straight catch by McInnes. Gets them down to a 2nd and 5 at the Saskatchewan 37. Lions looking to add to their lead. Up 7 now, third quarter. Xander Horvath leaves the backfield. Rourke looking his way. Can't find a receiver. Gonna have to take off again. But he does! Throw it down to Horvath. Tries to tiptoe into the end zone. But he's at the 4 out of bounds. 33-yard pickup when it looked like Rourke was about to head over the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I think David Sanchez at halftime talked about this and how Nathan Rourke, when he runs, he always runs with his eyes up. And if he sees a guy downfield that's open, been dropped in the coverage, he's going to launch it. I mean, he took that from under his arm like he was going to run with it up into a throwing position in a split second, got it to Horvath.
And second trip to the red zone for the Lions, and Horvath may not be done. Suits, you talked about this earlier, that he takes on a role when the yardage gets short. You see him out there now, though, with Rourke still in at quarterback, and a 1st and goal at the Rider 4. Great opportunity to move up 2 scores for BC. Faking to Butler, and Greenwood, but still on his feet and able to throw it away. Nearly sacked there by Des Evans. Got on him, but couldn't finish the job, and it'll be a 2nd and goal still at the 4.
Desmond Evans down at the bottom here, who gets up the field immediately. He does not play the fake. What Nathan Rourke is hoping will happen there was the free hitter, which was Evans, will go with the fake and go down low on James Butler, try to tackle him, which will give Nathan Rourke a chance to get outside. That didn't happen. He didn't buy it.
And then it was Antoine Brooks moving in and just starting to tackle Rourke as he got rid of it, threw it away into the end zone. Incomplete. 8th play of the drive. 2nd and goal. Rourke. Pump fake. End zone touchdown. Keon Hatcher. His 3rd touchdown in 2 games. And the Lions add to their lead.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you play Keon Hatcher. He's going to be effective, and I can't explain enough how difficult of a throw that was to make for Nathan Rourke, moving the way he was moving and trying to throw it against the flow. Once again, pressure is there immediately, and he has to bail, but look how he sidearms that, sliding to his left, back against the flow.
Well, we've seen Rourke run. He's taken off already in this game, but his mobility helping him to throw as well. That earlier one to Horvath, part of the 8-play drive. Sean White with the point after. But moving around to complete it to Horvath, moving around again to find another touchdown for Keon Hatcher. BC Lions up 2 touchdowns now. BC Lions and Nathan Rourke really asserting themselves now after an 8-play drive. 2 key plays in particular.
Yeah, watch him get it out of the holster here on that throw to Horvath. He's running with the ball under his arm, and then he gets it out of that holster and gets rid of it with Horvath flashing open the way he did. And then this one, rolling hard to his left, side-arming it through a tight window and 2 defenders to Keon Hatcher for the touchdown throw.
It's given them the 14-point lead. Keon Hatcher, his 4th touchdown of the season. BC kicks off. James Fletcher on the return. Across the 30. Greeted at the 36 by Woodley Apollon and thrown back. And another flag is out on the field. As the Lions now with a 2-touchdown lead and a big hole for Trevor Harris and the Riders to get out of.
Well, the Riders have to clean up the penalty problems. They're taking big plays off the board. Put together a drive here. Give their defense a rest. Come away with points. Lots of time left in this game, and you know how these teams go at it and how close it is.
BC number 42. It's 15 yards from the end of the play. 1st down, Saskatchewan.
That will help. A little bit better field position for Trevor Harris. I'm sure Corey Mason, the staff, has reminded him, hey, guys, just stop self-destructing on the penalties.
So that one against the Lions, Parker McKenna moves it up to the Rider 52 to start this drive. There was a 2-touchdown difference back in week 2 in the first meeting of the season between these two. It was the Riders that were up by 2 touchdowns, and BC came back and made it a game, went right down to the wire. What happens here? Halfway through the 3rd quarter, Harris throwing to the right, wide open. Daniel Johnson. Big man's got the ball. eligible receiver.
Yes.
Guard Daniel Johnson reinserted into the lineup, and I don't know if he had this in his bingo card.
Well, I watched it from the very beginning as he lines up as a tight end and then works his way to run a route, and then is the open receiver on the route. It's by himself for a 17-yard gain. Look at this. Look at this. How about that for route running? And then a broken tackle with a little good footwork down the sideline.
Him breaking a tackle doesn't surprise me as much as to see him catching the pass, but wow, whatever works.
But the way he broke the tackle.
The way he did it, I got you.
Not just running over somebody, he stiff arms him and jumps over the tackle. Like that's a nice athletic looking play. I mean, he lines up as a tight end, then runs a flat route. Or excuse me, as a receiver, runs a flat route, and then hops over the first tackler, and Sankey's going, what are you doing with the ball?
Got a little Paulie Conley in the open field there.
Sankey looked like, this doesn't look right. There's something that doesn't look right here.
Daniel Johnson in now to block with Tommy Stevens in on a 2nd and 1 at the 32. And looks like he has enough. Get used to saying that, but yeah, Johnson won't forget that for a while, I'm sure.
Well, it was outstanding. I mean, he ran the right route, lined up as a receiver, was eligible because he would have had to have reported, so he did that, executed that well. That's the type of play that can kickstart the entire team, though.
And let it be said that on this drive, Tommy Stevens wasn't the biggest ball carrier for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
No question. Stiff arm and jump hurdle over a tackler when you're 307 pounds and 6'5". Nice.
It's pretty quick feet there, too, Johnson. Here we go on the ground. Here's Paulie Conley. And he evades a tackler, Jackson Finley, and he works his way up for another 5.
Watch this. Okay, let's go back one more time to a very unique looking play. Okay, so there he is there. Now he's going to widen out. Now, no one goes with him saying, why is an old lineman out here in a trips formation with the 3 receivers, and he's one of them? And then Darnell Sankey, as he pushes him out, looks at him like, what are you doing with the football in your hands? He's going, well, I'm running for a first down for 17 yards. That's what I'm doing.
Saw Stanley Thomas Oliver, that replay, sort of pointing out for BC. There's a big guy lining up wide here now. It's another catch, another first down. There's Dylan Jette, the rookie. Got a touchdown in his first start a couple of weeks ago, and this is his 3rd game in Rider Green and White, one of their top draft picks.
Happy birthday to Jette. I think it was about 4 days ago he turned 23. Remember what you were doing when you were 23?
I do not.
Okay, me neither. Me neither.
I probably lost that memory about 20 years ago.
I'll tell you what, Daniel Johnson's play has kick-started this offense. They're rolling now.
They got some momentum going when they really needed to. Down 14, but they're getting closer to 16. Conley left side. And he takes on TJ Lee there and hangs on to the football too. Flag coming out.
Yeah, I think that's another holding call.
Holding, Saskatchewan, number 62. It's a 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Peyton Collins, left tackle. And I'm just going to apologize up front to all offensive linemen that we keep circling them when they make a mistake. That was a soft one, though. Not much there. A little grab to the interior of the shoulder pads and then let go of it immediately. On a running play, if I'm official, I'm letting that one go. That's not cheering for one side or the other. That's just going, come on, that's a little soft.
So it stays. It's pushed back to the 26 now in a 1st and 20.
Oh, boy.
Intercepted. Drive snuffed out again. Another opportunistic play for that Lions defense. It's Stanley Thompson Oliver with his first CFL interception, getting steadily better on the boundary corner, and a frustrated Trevor Harris heads off to the sideline. Again, the Riders get into the score zone or close to it, and they cannot cash in. Lions ball. Corey Mays issuing a challenge on that interception by BC and Stanley Thomas Oliver.
Yeah, he wants to see if there was some early contact on this slant. It didn't look like to me there was Thomas Oliver didn't look like he cut Jete off from getting there. In fact, he kind of reached out to make sure he didn't do that. We'll see.
Here's the referee, Justin McInnes, with the announcement on the challenge.
On the previous play, Saskatchewan challenged for pass interference. After review by the replay center, the ruling on the field stands. It's going to be first down, BC.
Good job by Stanley Thomas Oliver in his first year in the CFL as Trevor Harris is picked off again. And just over 4 minutes to go until three-quarter time. Ryan Phillips talking to Jackson Finley, but there you see Mike Benavides as well. But good job by the defense. Bending, not breaking. And it's Lions football up by 14, 20-6. Nathan Rourke. The Lions 25 now. He has time. Checks it down to James Butler. 30. First down. Up across the 35.
Well, that's for the Riders, that's the downside, is these turnovers in the scoring zone. I mean, they've had at least 9 points taken off the board because of turnovers. If one of those are majors, then you're looking at almost a tie score here. The good news for the Riders is their defense is keeping them around. They've got to try and get another stop here and get Trevor Harris back out there.
From the BC 37. First down, handing off to Butler this time. And James Butler wrapped up coming in as Roberson and the ex-Lion Josh Woods as well.
Yeah, so you're only down 2 possessions if you're the Riders. You've been self-destructing all night, and that's with the penalties. I mean, that drive was going after the Daniel Johnson catch. They had some momentum. They were moving. They were down inside the 30, and then a penalty. A penalty for holding on a running play. Again, I think it was a soft one, but that takes away that momentum, and then the turnover.
And the second time Harris is intercepted on the day. TJ Lee had the other in the first half. Rourke quickly throwing it. Go deeper! Oh my goodness! Collision, but it's caught! And still going! Stanley Berryhill timed up the contact right away. But Berryhill, hang on. Stanley Berryhill, 58 yards, hung on to the football, and it's a big first down for BC.
Jackson Ford came from the middle of the field and played that as well as he could, except for to finish it. I mean, he was there in time to almost cut under that with a bit of a different angle, and Berryhill's concentration pays off right here. Look how he concentrates on this, takes the hit, spins around, and hangs on. What a catch.
Great concentration there by Berryhill. Hit just as the ball's arriving. Hangs on, gets it down to the 18 of Saskatchewan. Third time in the red zone now. Already up 14 and looking for more. Taking to Horvath and looking to dump it off there for Renee Jackson. He took a pop by Jackson Ford after the ball had come and gone, and a flag is out on the field.
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly some frustration on the part of Jackson Ford, not letting the last play go and having it trickle into this one. But I'm with Corey Mace on this. I mean, and again, I'm just calling the way I see it, but it looked like it was such a bang-bang hit that, to me, if there's no history there, in other words, he didn't get beat on the last play, then there may not have been a penalty flag. I wasn't a defenseless receiver. On a push route like that, they're waiting to get hit. You take a look at the timing. We'll slow it down for you. That'll be a little bit. It was tipped as well. Well, there was one step in there.
Necessary roughness. Saskatchewan, number 21. The ball will be placed at the 1 yard line. Automatic first down.
Yeah, James Vodder's got his hand on it a little bit there, and then Ford coming in.
Well, did you see how quickly, though, when we played it in regular speed, how much of a bang, bang
yeah.
It really was.
So BC is really grabbing a hold of this game right now. Chance to make it 3 scores. Up by 2 touchdowns, and what a momentum swing when Saskatchewan, yes, down 14, with driving down inside the 20. Another turnover. Costly. Xander Horvath in. Looking to add to the lead there. Xander Horvath. Touchdown BC, and with that, he moves ahead of Tommy Stevens, leading the Canadian Football League in touchdowns with 12.
And still on pace for Milt's title. Going after him.
Well, that pace was 11 and a half a season, so just one shy of Milt's pace, but here's another touchdown for Horvath.
A couple more to get back on that pace. Pretty demoralizing moment there for the Rider defense. After the play that it looked like Jackson Ford was making on the deep route, and then the penalty down inside the 20.
Going after Sean White, BC. Looking to avenge that loss at the start of the season in Mosaic, and thinking back to that loss in the West Final on Shore last November to the Riders. Horvath. Touchdown number 12 for 34 BC and a 27-6 lead. Xander Horvath just scored another touchdown for BC. And the Lions now, Suits, in charge, leading it by 21 points. Look at the standings now. Tommy Stevens with 11, but Horvath moving ahead, and Justin Rankin with 9.
Lots of football to be played, though. I mean, the Riders just have to get out of their own way on some of these penalties.
So James Letcher back for this. 1:09 to go until three-quarter time.
Yeah, but what a catch down the field. I mean, that was a tough 3 or 4 plays in a row for Jackson Ford at safety.
Yeah, it definitely was, and such a momentum swing in this game when it looked like the Riders were getting right back in it. Low driving kick by Meyer this time, and it is scooped up. Thomas Bertrand-O'Donnell has it. On that return, gets it up to the 42. Adam Konar in on the tackle. So Trevor Harris, 16-23 for 204, but he's been picked off twice. It's been costly.
So in the scoring zone, this is right down inside the 5-yard line. The TJ Lee gets the interception. Deontay Williams pulls the ball out of Johnson's hand here. That was in field goal range. And then the late interception just a few minutes ago, and he is not happy. That's as emotional as I've seen Trevor in any game this year.
Corey Mace said he was apologetic after the loss in Hamilton last week, and Mace was saying that's on the whole team, not on you, but takes a lot of this personally, of course. High standards in what has been a great season. I mean, coming in, still projected to throw for nearly 5,800 yards, but the last couple of weeks for Harris especially have been pretty frustrating.
Yeah, that last interception, I'm going to put part of the responsibility on Dylan Jette there. I mean, he's running the slant, and you've got to go and battle for that football on that slant, and don't let Thomas Oliver cut underneath you like he did. I mean, that's the slant route. You have to really jump the gun there from the corner's position.
As Jette goes out wide, Saskatchewan 2nd and 10 at the 42. Couple of pump fakes, runs out of time, and he is sacked. Casey Sales in. A little help from Matthew Betts as well as he adds to his totals. And Casey Sales with his first sack of the season. And it goes from bad to worse for the Riders right now.
A lot of 3-man pressure in this game from BC, and they decide there to change it up on 2nd down and send 5. It's Sales that gets home.
Chapman back to punt it away. We're down 21. Last play of the 3rd quarter. And it takes a hop. Berryhill takes it.
Whoa.
And he goes down just across the 40. So 15 minutes to go. A frustrated Trevor Harris with the Riders, and a lot of work to do in the final 15 minutes, because in this second half, despite that catch from Daniel Johnson that seemed to fire them up, it's a BC game right now, heading into the 4th quarter, up by 21. There's the story as far as stats are concerned. The one at the top The most important one now with the Lions leading big, actually leading by 3 touchdowns, but turnovers and also penalties working against the Riders.
Yeah, everything's close there when you look at the stats, except for that one line at turnovers, 3-0. And that's when Saskatchewan, those weren't turnovers in their own end. Those are turnovers when you're in position to put points on the board. That changes everything. Penalty-wise, Saskatchewan has 7 so far for 72 yards, and the Lions just 3 for 20. So 52 more yards in penalties for Saskatchewan, and those penalties have taken big plays off the board. I mean, you're talking about a holding call that takes away a touchdown, a no yards call that takes away a scoop and score. I mean, the opportunities have been there.
And there you see 27-6. Fourth quarter begins with BC in charge and with the ball at their 41. And Rourke completes another one on the run. He's done that a few times. And then moving up now nicely is McInnes, who coughed up the ball, but it just heads out of bounds.
Saskatchewan's arguing that they touched it last going out. Another play made by Nathan Rourke, though, on the run.
Nathan Rourke over 300 yards passing after an 18-yard pickup. Steps up. Deep ball. That's intercepted. Jackson Ford frustrated earlier in this half and has a return going here after that pick. What the Riders need, losing the turnover battle, but they turn it over there as Rourke is intercepted and Ford has himself an interception, and a timely one at that.
Big time, especially when you look at the last series of 3 or 4 plays in a row for Jackson Ford. A chance to knock the ball out on a deep ball, didn't get there, got a penalty for a late hit, and that's just an outstanding pick, playing free safety in the middle, seeing Nathan Rourke on the run, trying to hit that deep route, and he goes right across with great range and high points the ball.
Just the Riders' 4th interception of the year, and 2 of them by a linebacker, Josh Woods, just the second by a member of the secondary. First of the season for Ford, and that one is caught so quickly. And they'll have to move quickly now, down a bunch. Sam Emilus, a good return to the Rider lineup, but they have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, but every player, Rod, makes a bad decision, a bad play, a mistake. It's what you do the very next series, the very next play. And Jackson Ford saying, hey, our offense goes out there and scores now. We're back.
From the 49, Harris. And he gets it to Keyshawn Johnson into the Lion zone very quickly down to their 47. 4th catch of this game for Keyshawn Johnson.
Yeah, you can't make up 21 points in one series, so they understand that. But time is now an enemy as well, so that's why you're seeing tempo from Trevor Harris.
They mark it at the 48 and a 1st and 10. 4-man rush. Harris with time underneath the Bertrand Audin, puts his head down, gets it inside the 35. 13 more yards there for the Riders.
All the plays on the line of scrimmage makes it that much more difficult for Mike Benavides and Ryan Phillips to substitute.
With time again, lots of it. Bertrand Audin again, but this time just for a couple of yards with Parker McKenna all over him. 3-yard pickup, 2nd and 7.
Yeah, Mike Benavides we talked to this week. Asked him about Parker McKenna. He said he missed 1 tackle in his first game, in his first start, and hasn't missed one since. Not one. That's almost unheard of.
Big addition to the Lions D. Deeper look. Open receiver 2 and a touchdown for Dell Duncan Busby. Oh, do the Riders ever need that? 32 yards and working quickly with still over 12 minutes on the clock. They find the end zone for the first time in this game.
Riders needed that, and so did Jackson Ford. Needed the way it happened to get the turnover, get some momentum for his football team, and let Trevor Harris go back to work and get those bad feelings of the turnovers out of him. Good job by Duncan Busby to put the brakes on, cut inside, and get that last 3 yards.
Then could walk right in with his 3rd touchdown of the season. 5 plays, 73 yards, and just 2 minutes and 1 second taken off the clock with Alex Hale. And the point after to get it back to a 14-point game. So now they need the Rider defense, just like they did the last time, to make something happen. at least they could force a short drive BC and get the ball back. Jackson Ford had the turnover. Del Duncan Busby had the points off it as the Riders finally have a touchdown. They're down 27-13.
Well, big series for Jackson Ford and equally big for the offense for the Riders. But let's take a look and recap, because there's the penalty from Jackson Ford. That leads to the Horvath touchdown. So now the Lions are up by 3 scores. Jackson Finley gets rid of that bad play, doesn't stack another, or Jackson Ford, I should say, gets rid of it and doesn't stack another one, and then they go to Duncan Busby for a touchdown in just 2 minutes. So that's how quickly you got to get rid of those bad thoughts, let it go, and move on. Jackson Ford just did exactly that.
There's Jermaine Jackson on the return, so now we'll see what the Rider defense can do as Ford comes back on the field after his first interception of the season. And Nathan Rourke over 300 yards again for the 27th time in his career, and 6 of those coming against Saskatchewan.
Now, if you're the BC Lions right here, you got to slow things down. Get back to that, some of that run game on first down. Of course, the Riders understand that too. A little bit of the RPO action where you're faking the run to Horvath or James Butler and looking for those first down throws.
From the BC 34. Blitz coming. Rourke gets rid of it to the left of McKinnis. And a short pickup of just a couple of yards working there on Nelson Lacombo, the field corner, and DeMarcus Fields as well.
Big play here. Big play here with over 11 minutes to go. Lions can convert, keep a drive alive, even get more field position if they have to punt it away at some point, and eat up some more of that clock.
We've become accustomed to close games between these two teams. Their last 2 earlier this season in week 2 went right down to the final minute. Just like the meeting before that, the West Final last November at Mosaic. Here we are, 2nd and 7, and that is caught for a first down up across the 45. And that's Javon Catoy who had a touchdown, his first of the season earlier in this game. This is the West Final last November at Mosaic. Nathan Rourke. Remember that? It's our time. But Trevor Harris said, no, it's our time, as he worked it down. And then Tommy Neal, as they looked at it again and decided, yes, that is the winning touchdown, as the Riders went on to the Grey Cup and ended up winning it. And a bitter memory for BC and Nathan Rourke, and lived it out again back in mid-June in their first game of the season. They'll play fake. Catoy again, he's running after. Breaking tackles, carrying a couple of Riders with him. What a play by Javon Catoy as he gets it all the way to the Rider 35.
And in field goal range right now. So that is a monster play for Javon Catoy. Bigger than his touchdown catch early in this game to beat that tackle, spin out of it, and get into plus territory. That's a huge play with the timing, the down and distance, the momentum in Saskatchewan's favor after the 2-minute drive for a touchdown to get it closer, to get it to 2 possessions. Huge play.
Loves it here at BC Place. It's his 3rd game back from injury. His 6 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Down to the 35 Riders. Xander Horvath running hard right through it. A hurdle as well. 15 yards for Xander Horvath, his biggest run of the day.
Well, I think defenders, especially DBs, have come to the conclusion that it's best to go low on Xander Horvath because he's so big and so strong, and that's exactly what Jackson Ford tried to do there.
Saskatchewan.
And Horvath has seen enough of the low hits and goes up over the top.
Well, every time the Riders flip the momentum, BC flips it right back. A great drive coming up here.
He's having a roller coaster. Jackson Ford on that Catoy play right there had him short of the first down and couldn't bring him down. Now that's a tough receiver to bring down, and now Ford trying to get Horvath on the ground and gets the hurdle over top of him after setting up with his turnover the touchdown drive. So it has been a roller coaster for 21 tonight.
It really has, and the Lions getting momentum right back down to the Saskatchewan 21. They still have a 2-touchdown lead, and just that kind of day for Corey Mace so far. Try to get back in this game, but they need a stop. They're not getting it, not yet anyway. They're going to need what they got last time around, and a timely interception to get that ball back. BC threatening again, and back to Horvath, who can't get away that time as he still can't work it to the 20. So not much of a gain at all, if any, and second down ahead.
Yeah, you want to be smart, though, at this point. Make it 3 possessions if you even kick a field goal here. And want to minimize the opportunity of the Saskatchewan defense trying to turn it over. And that means high percentage throws if you do throw it. Screen draw, good decisions here.
A little over a month ago, Nathan Rourke got hurt early in Edmonton. They lost, went to 1-4. Came back without Rourke, lost to the Argos, went to 1-5. Since then, though, they've won 3 straight, looking to make it 4. They get back to 500. Rourke runs out of time. And it's Desmond Evans again. One too many pump fakes, and they got the sack. Evans picks it up.
Only Nathan Rourke knows what he was thinking there, but I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he also was thinking down and distance, game situation, don't force the throw. He looked at 3 different reads there, 3 different progressions, and decided, you know what, I'm going to hang on to it. I'm going to eat it, because it was just, they're in field goal range. They can make it a 3-possession game, and hang on, don't try to force it. I can only know he knows what he was thinking, but.
Well, there's Sean White 2 for 2. He's hit from 44 and 25. This just inside the 35 for White. No problem at all. We're back to a 3-score game.
Yeah, 3 possessions, and that's just managing the situation, the scoreboard, and knowing that you're already in chip shot field goal range to make it 3 scores.
Trevor Harris back on. Riders in a deep hole, especially after this White field goal. Friday Night Football heads back to Winnipeg. The 5-5 Blue Bombers have to deal with this guy now. Davis Alexander leading the 9-1 Montreal Alouettes, the top team in the Canadian Football League. Zach Collaros came back in that game in Edmonton. Great first half for the Bombers, but Elks came back and beat them. And if the BC Lions can hang on and win, and they have a 3-score lead, they would tie them in the standings at 5-5. Early movement, and that is caught by Duncan Busby, who had a touchdown earlier in this quarter and a big first down to the BC 40.
Early flag, and they picked it up, I guess.
I saw a Lions player clearly crossing the line of scrimmage early.
They're talking to Corey Mace, which would indicate that it's against BC, and they'd obviously take the play to Duncan Busby there.
Right down to the
offside.
40.
BC number 93.
There you go.
Penalties declined. First down, Saskatchewan.
That was Lorenzo Malden moving early.
Great catch. Working off C.J. Cold.
Trevor Harris has gone over 300 for the 61st time in his career, but that one knocked away on the first down play at the Lions 40. Most among active QBs with 300-yard passing games, passing Bo Levi Mitchell on that last one to Duncan Busby.
Can Bo make it back before the playoffs?
Big question for Hamilton. The Tiger Cats losing in the rain in Toronto last night.
Here they come.
Harris again, and underneath and caught by Keyshawn Johnson. Shy of a first down by a couple of yards, but they're down 17 points and only 6:42 in the clock.
They are, but they need that field goal as well. They're down 3 scores.
Well, Harris stays on. They want that touchdown. Handing off Thomas Bertrand-Houdon. He does have enough for the first down as this drive will continue. 6:18 and counting.
Yeah, I get it. Once you get closer and you're, inside the 35, those 2 yards seems like because you need a couple of majors in that mix.
Can the Riders make another dramatic finish here? Harris Underneath the Bertrand. Oh, the ball comes out, and it goes right back into the hands of the center, Logan Ferland, who wraps it up and takes it down to the 20 in an 8-yard gain.
Who came downhill on that hit? Because that was a biggie. Bertrand Hudon, bow, right there. It was Sankey.
Darnell Sankey with the hit. So pump fake underneath Bertrand Hudon again, working it down to the 12. So another play for 30, but another look at that hit by Darnell Sankey on Bertrand Hudon the play before.
Let's take another look. McKenna from one side. He's got him around the waist. And look at this. That just spun him around. Ball flies out of there. Ferland comes up with it, keeps the drive alive. That was a big hit. And Bertrand just comes out and catches the next one.
He does. How about that center? Logan Ferland used to handling the football.
Daniel Johnson catching him.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Harris running out of time. And he tries to get rid of it to Conley as he's wrapped up. With Parker McKenna all over Conley, it's incomplete. Down to third down again, and no sign of any special teams coming on. Or, excuse me, second down.
Take a shot here, but the clock's your enemy now. You're the Riders.
So second down and 10. We're down to 4.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. 17-point difference. Just a three-man rush. Lots of time for Harris, but can't find a target. He gets sacked by Lorenzo Malden. Once a star, Defensive Player of the Year with the Ottawa Red Blacks 4 years ago. Late season went to Calgary. Mike Benavides had coached him, by the way, in Ottawa, and he gets his first sack as a BC Lion.
Top of your screen, he's working one-on-one on Jamarcus Hardrick, and just keeps battling. You know, but that might be one that kickstarts his season with the BC Lions. He's been around for a few games now.
So now to your point about what they need, 2 touchdowns and a field goal. So a little different now when they're facing a 3rd and 15 as the kicker Alex Hale comes on.
Taking a little too long, though, to get these things snapped.
25 yards away, and Alex Hale remains perfect on the night. It gets it back to 14-point difference. Malden celebrating a sack as a BC Lion. They're still in charge by 14. Rough start to the season for the BC Lions, but they won 3 straight heading into this game over the Bombers, Ticats, and Stampeders, and they could technically, based on head-to-head, tie Winnipeg by record, but be ahead of them for 3rd place in the West if they hang on and win.
Yeah, that one, Nathan Rourke wasn't the starting quarterback. In that one, that was Caden Salter. But yeah, 3-game, and you know the difference. The difference has been the play of their defense over the last month and a half. That's Ryan Phillips, who helps Mike Benavides. You got Mark Washington talking to Benavides this week about the experience he has in his defensive room is incredible.
There's Rourke back to work. Now a little beyond the fingertips there, Jermaine Jackson, who thinks he should have had it. 2nd down.
And think about this. I mean, that's over 80 years of CFL experience. And 2 of those guys, in Ryan Phillips and Mark Washington, were defensive coordinators. So you put all those guys in a room, and it was going to start to mesh. It was going to start to happen. And Benavides said their first 2 games were terrible. They just weren't close. But they stayed in Kelowna, little team time, hung out together, thought that was a big part of it. And they've been playing better ever since.
And there was a sign of it turning around between those Kelowna games, the loss to Calgary and then the victory over Edmonton. Not a bad bit of scenery. This beautiful day in BC. Few minutes to go here. 3 minutes to go, 4th quarter. Trevor Harris, see the injured A.J. Ouellette. One of the players that they have been missing, but just not enough. The yardage, though, passing, both of them going over 300, Trevor Harris and Nathan Rourke. But it's Rourke's Lions who are approaching their 5th win of the season. They were 1-5 at one point and looking to move up to 500 and a 5-5 record. They're coming on. Rourke runs out of time. It's Jameer Thurman who comes right in with pressure all around him, and Thurman picks up his 2nd sack of the season.
Yeah, and I will mention, too, that, and this is not trying to build in an excuse, there's still time on the clock for one of the most experienced, high completion percentage passers in Canadian football, and Trevor Harris. However, the secondary for the Saskatchewan Roughriders has been banged up. I mean, no Tavon Campbell, no Roland Milligan. Those are key components to that back end, and trying to survive without it.
They're getting the ball back now, but the clock's the enemy. 2:40 and counting down. 2-score game. They need a couple of touchdowns in a real hurry. BC punting it after that 2-and-out. 57-yard punt. James Letcher works his way up close to the 45 for Harris and that offense. Stranger things have happened, but it's got to happen very quickly for Saskatchewan now. Otherwise, they fall a little further behind. Still in second place in the West, but the Edmonton Elks coming back to beat Winnipeg the other night. They'd moved 2 wins ahead of them.
Well, based on the time left on the clock, they need 3 plays. They need the 2 touchdowns to catch up in the scoreboard, and they'll also need the onside kick in between. If it was 350, 326, 426, different scenario.
But before they worry about that,
yeah, exactly. One play at a time.
You got to get that touchdown, that first one. 3 receivers to the right. Harris looking that way, rolling out, and then tosses it for MLS. Looked like even lying down, he'd have a shot at it, but no, incomplete. 2:19 to go.
The other guy the Riders are really missing is Keon Schaefer-Baker. Schaefer-Baker had a big game in week 2. These two teams met. Has missed 3 now. But he's another big play receiver that Trevor Harris is missing.
No question. 2 for 8 this half on second down. They get a 2nd and 10 here. 3-down territory in this ball game now for the Rider offense. Tipped. Knocked away nicely by the safety Jackson Finley, denying Keyshawn Johnson, and it is a 3rd and 10.
Yeah, you heard David Sanchez talk about the relationship between TJ Lee and Farhan mentioned it early in the game, and Jackson Finley, and how both are just their football IQ through the roof. I mean, Jackson Finley, you give him the whiteboard pen and tell him to put up everybody's responsibility on the defense, including the D linemen. And any different defense, different call, different look from Coach Benavides, and TJ Lee or Finley can write it up on the whiteboard.
It's 3rd and 10 now, and they gotta go. It's caught. It's a first down. That's Dylan Jette, the rookie, just across midfield. So the drive will continue. 2:10 on the clock.
And somebody listening to that might say, well, shouldn't every player be able to do that? Yeah, no. That's not the way it works. I can't tell you how many times I had a linebacker turn around and go, hey, what do I got on that defense? And I'm like, oh, man, you got to know at least what you're doing.
Right.
But that's what your job is partly to do, and as a safety and a middle linebacker is to make sure the guys are lined up right and know their assignments.
And one of the corners, Stanley Thomas Oliver, is the injured Lion right near the Lions bench, getting some attention there. Originally drafted in the NFL in the 7th round 6 years ago by the Carolina Panthers, and also had some time with the Giants and Detroit Lions. First year in the CFL, and he's another one. You talk about Parker McKenna, who's been a nice addition in that Lions secondary, of course, missing the veteran Gary Peters this season.
So Josh Haggerty will go to safety. They move Finley down to Deontay Williams' spot at Sam, and Williams plays the corner.
Harris underneath, checks it down to Conley, and he takes a hit, and Josh Haggerty coming in, just went into the game.
U of S product.
Yep, first down.
Scott Flory with the University of Saskatchewan doing such a great job with that program. So many players in the pros, but it's more important than that in college.
Harris throwing again, Johnny Johnson, another first down, but you got to keep an eye on that clock too, needing a couple of quick touchdowns. Now they're saying incomplete. Looked initially like he had it, but they're up over the ball, though, thinking it is a catch and a first down.
Took a pretty good hit there. And was slow to get up.
Well, they haven't moved it back.
That was Parker McKenna again with a big hit.
Sam Emilus limping. Just got back after missing 3 games with a foot injury. And they did call it incomplete, so they do move it back close to the 44 of BC.
Yeah, talking with Emilus about that was that they actually wanted to keep him out of. There's the reason for the limp. Ronald Kent rolled into the back of his legs.
Emilus had 2 stints on the injured list last year. He only played in 7 games. Mind you, did he ever finish strong, helping Saskatchewan beat BC in the West Final, and then was the top Canadian with 10 catches, 100 yards in the Grey Cup in their victory over the Montreal Alouettes.
The injury spotter is removing Saskatchewan 88 from the game.
It was Johnny Johnson who caught it and ultimately couldn't hang on and took a hit, and now the injury spotters are removing him.
Yeah, so he has to be out at least 3 plays while he's assessed. Into the 10. It looked like, I mean, after the hit from Parker McKenna, I think Finley was involved too. He was a little slow to get up. I was wondering about that.
Just a 3-man rush. BC backing off. Harris taking off. Rear running play for Trevor Harris. Not many other options as he does run for another first down for Saskatchewan. 11-yard pickup. They run tempo, trying to get another play off. 1:43. Stanley Thomas Oliver back on the field for the Lions. Inside the 33. Harris. Can't get it away. And it's Lorenzo Molden.
Get that first one. Got to get that first one. Once you get going, and that's a guy who was a former outstanding defensive player in the league.
With the Red Blacks 4 years ago.
In 2022, and he needed one to get him started. Now that just a great power rush, just driving Peyton Collins back into Trevor Harris.
Off to Keyshawn Johnson now, and tackled nicely by C.J. Golden. I was thinking maybe Lorenzo Malden's been paying attention to what Sean Lemon's been doing lately.
Well, they're well ahead of the race with Father Time, aren't they? A race that you never win, by the way. But you can stay ahead. You can stay ahead. Keep working at it.
Some keep trying. Some
hand in the wave the white flag. Is that what you're saying?
Under the 35, 3rd and 13. And in a crowd, it is broken up. Intended there for Emilus, who is still down.
Oh, boy.
Fourth turnover created. They turn that over on downs. Emilus still down as Harris heads off. They only had 9 turnovers heading into this game.
Dig right over the middle into the danger area. Darnell Sankey. I'll tell you what, though, Sam Emilus, he sold out to go get that. Landed right on his tailbone. He elevated to get up there.
And still down after that. We saw him earlier look like a foot injury, which is what had kept him out for 3 games. His first game back. And Emilus had led the way with the Riders in catches with 7 for 66 yards. But
I was wondering if he hit his head on the turf when he came down, but they're looking at his knee.
it was lower body injuries, the foot and knee last year that limited his playing time, and limping off now. Corey Mace coming out too. But 113, turning it over. 4th turnover. Saskatchewan coughs it up again, and yeah, first 9 games, 9 In this game alone, 4, nearly half that.
Yeah, their defense has been lights out. I mean, they're ranked number 2, but going to close in on number 1 really quickly. Edmonton is number 1 right now, or coming into the week. But they were dead last in the first 2-3 weeks of the season. Enter Parker McKenna, brought in Lorenzo Malden. Had a quiet kind of start to his BC Lion journey.
So they'll run it out now. Xander Horvath. His day never seems to be done, as he gets an extra burst and picks up another first down for BC, 1:08 in the clock.
Just one more note on Sam Emilus there. His teammates will notice that. I mean, it's a 2-score game with 1:20 to go, and he sells out to go and try and convert on 3rd down. I mean, there's guys even at this level that are going to say, you know what, I'll live to play another game and let that one go incomplete. And Emilus didn't do that.
Xander Horvath left side. And still running hard, so it takes the 3 riders to pull him down. The Lions, we can declare them victors in this. 42 seconds on the clock, up by 14. Looking to make it 4 straight wins. You see in this, and as mentioned, they would have the tiebreaker right now head-to-head against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And that's their only meeting of the season, that one a few weeks ago. So BC has the tiebreaker on Winnipeg. So put them 3rd in the West after that awful start. They have the Ottawa Red Blacks next week in the nation's capital. And you know that story from the other side of the Red Blacks are still looking for win number 1. And it's 4 straight wins for Levi Bell and the BC Lions. Very fired up after that 1-5 start to get to 5-5 now. And Horvath.
Wow, the West is wide open. I mean, it really is. The West is wide open. Congratulations to Edmonton and their win. But, you know, when you think of the Calgary Stampeders and what they're doing, the good things that they're doing, you look at BC's win streak now, call it the mushy middle in the West. And by the way, after that Ottawa game for Buck Pierce's crew, they go back-to-back with Montreal.
Big test.
Yeah.
The biggest, the way things are looming right now for the BC Lions. Victory formation, another victory for BC. And that's their 4th straight. From 1-5 to 5-5. And dealing the Riders their 2nd straight loss. Like a year ago for Buck Pierce, turning things around after a slow start. And this is looking like a force now in the Canadian Football League.
Some things to clean up for Trevor Harris and the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who, as you mentioned, dropped 2 in a row. But I would start with eliminating penalties. I mean, the penalties they took tonight, almost twice or more than twice as many as the BC Lions, cost them big plays tonight.
It really did. Took points off the board. And the Riders, as you saw in the standings, 6-4. And still 2nd in the West, but 2 wins behind the Edmonton Elks, who have played 1 more game. Friday Night Football. Alouettes try to keep it going. And they're in Winnipeg to face the Blue Bombers, and that's how things will get going. Next week, in Week 13, BC Lions moving to 3rd in the West. A 500 team. Thanks for watching the CFL on TSN. Have a great night, everybody.